There is a stretch of water in southern Italy where twice a day the sea turns in on itself and pulls. You can stand on the shore at a town called Silla, order a coffee and watch it happen. A swirl of current strong enough that local boats still time their crossings around it. Homer described this exact place 3,000 years ago. He called it a monster. For almost that entire time, people have read the Odyssey not as a story, but as a map. Directions to real coastlines and real dangers you could sail to and check. And here is the strange part. Some of it works. Some of the monsters have coordinates. One of them left bones. One of them keeps a schedule you can look up. But the one place the whole journey is trying to reach, the island of home, is the one place nobody can find. This is the mystery of the map hidden inside the Odyssey. Start with what we actually know. The Odyssey is old, almost beyond reckoning. It came out of a tradition of spoken poetry, verses memorized and performed for generations before anyone wrote them down, somewhere around the 8th century before Christ. Whether a single poet named Homer ever existed is still argued. The poem is older than the alphabet that records it, and from very early on, people treated its geography as real. When Greek colonists spread west across the Mediterranean, they carried the poem with them and started pinning it to the landscape they found. That headland is where Circe lived. Those smoking islands belong to the Keeper of the Winds. This strait is where the ship was nearly lost. The Romans did the same. By the time of the Caesars, you could take something close to an Odyssey tour. So the idea of the poem as a chart is not modern at all. It is almost as old as the poem itself. There is just one problem, and it is the problem behind everything that follows. Homer never gives a coordinate, not one. He gives a coastline of images, a whirlpool, a cave, an island of fog, and leaves us to match them to the real world. Every location in the Odyssey is not a fact, it is an argument. And some of those arguments are astonishingly good. Go back to that turning water. The narrow gap between Sicily and the mainland is the Strait of Messina, and in the poem it hides two monsters facing each other across the channel. Scylla, who snatches sailors from the cliffs, and Charybdis, who swallows the sea whole and spits it back. For a long time that sounded like pure invention. It isn't. The strait connects two different seas, the Tyrrhenian to the north, the Ionian to the south. Their tides run out of step. When one side is high, the other is low, so twice a day the water is forced through the gap in a reversing current that can reach 3 meters a second. Where it tears past the shallows, it throws off whirlpools. Charybdis is not a myth you have to imagine. It is oceanography. It happens on a timetable. Now sail a little further, to the island of the Cyclops, the one-eyed giant who traps the crew in his cave. The islands around Sicily hold a buried secret. In the last ice age, they were home to dwarf elephants, a real species, barely a meter tall at the shoulder, whose fossil skulls still turn up in Mediterranean caves. And an elephant skull has a feature that has fooled people for centuries. In the middle of the face is a single huge opening where the trunk once attached. To an eye that has never seen a living elephant, it reads as one enormous eye socket in the center of a giant's head. A paleontologist proposed the link more than 100 years ago. It cannot be proven. No ancient writer mentions digging up the bones, but hold a skull with a hole where the eye should be, and the giant stops feeling invented. The edges of the story, it turns out, are made of real things. The trouble starts as he gets closer to home. Because once the map seems to work, it is almost impossible to stop. If the strait is real and the elephant island is real, then surely the rest can be found too. For 2 centuries, Scholars and sailors have tried, matching every stop to a coastline. Circe's island became Cape Circeo, a dramatic headland south of Rome that, seen from the water, looks like a sleeping woman. The floating island of the winds became the Aeolian Islands, a cluster of volcanoes off Sicily that still smoke and rumble. One of them, Stromboli, erupts almost without stopping. The rocks of the Sirens became a trio of tiny islets off the Amalfi coast. Even the Lotus-eaters got a home. The island of Jerba, off Tunisia, where a real thorny shrub, the jujube, gives a sweet fruit. It is not a drug. The forgetting in the poem is poetry, but the plant is real, and it is exactly where the ancient geographers said it would be. And then came the boldest claim of all. In 2008, two scientists argued in a leading journal that the poem hides a date. In the final act, as Odysseus prepares to kill the suitors, a seer cries out that the sun has vanished from the sky. Around that line they found other clues. A planet in the dawn, a constellation at sunset, a new moon. Line them up, they said, and they point to one day, a total solar eclipse over the Greek islands on the 16th of April, 1178 before Christ. If they were right, the Odyssey was not just a map. It was a map with a timestamp. The homecoming pinned to an exact afternoon 3,000 years ago. The map felt like it was about to close. It doesn't close. Start with the eclipse. It is a beautiful piece of detective work. And most scholars think it is a mirage. The line about the vanished sun was read, even by ancient commentators, as a vision of doom, not a weather report. The other clues are scattered through the poem and can be lined up more than one way. A dazzling coincidence is not the same as a record, but the real problem is deeper, and it sits at the centre of the story. It is Ithaca, the home island, the destination of the entire voyage. Homer describes it in detail, its place among neighbouring islands, low and furthest out to sea. And here is the quiet scandal of Odyssey geography. The modern island that carries the name Ithaca does not match. It sits in the wrong position among its neighbours. The most ambitious attempt to fix this came in 2005 from a British researcher who noticed that a peninsula on the next island over, Kefalonia, fit Homer's words almost perfectly, if only it had once been separate. His theory, a channel of sea had cut it off into a true island, and over 3,000 years, rockfall and earthquakes filled the channel in. Find the buried channel, and you find the real Ithaca. It was a serious project. Geologists joined. They drilled boreholes, ran seismic surveys, scanned the ground for 2 decades, and in the summer of 2026, the team delivered its verdict against its own theory. There was no channel. The marine sediment they found was hundreds of thousands of years old, laid down long before any sailor. The peninsula had never been an island. The most careful search ever mounted for Odysseus's home had found solid ground exactly where it needed to find sea. The monsters have coordinates. Home slipped off the map. So where does that leave the oldest map in Western literature? In a strange, split state. The dangers at the edges of the voyage are eerily real. You can stand at the strait and watch the whirlpool keep its appointment. You can hold the skull that might have built a giant. The sea and the stone cooperate. But the heart of it, the one island the whole story exists to reach, refuses to be located. Every generation draws a line to it and the ground moves. Maybe that is a failure of the map. Or maybe it was never a map at all. Because the Odyssey is not really a story about monsters. It is a story about trying to get home and being kept from it year after year by one thing after another. A destination you can picture perfectly and never quite reach. It may be the truest thing in the poem that home is the part you can never put a pin in. Was Homer charting a real coastline, or the feeling of never arriving? That one you get to answer, and that is where I will leave it. And if there is a mystery you would love to see untangled, tell me. Until the next one.